Hi guys, today we're going to review or flick through um, another rule set that has been very popular for the last years. Uh, to the strongest. To the strongest, I think, is one of the most popular sets of rules from the, I say, from the new generation of rule sets, the ones that have been released recently, the last few years. And had a few requests from friends to do a flick through, and this is it. So, to the strongest, we start. This is the game is written by Simon Miller. I know Simon. We've been talking quite a few times. Here is the acknowledgement. You know, it's table of content. I have to say this is the PDF version, and it's a brilliant version because it's very well organized again, and you can go and check any information required with links that they are on the pages regarding the rules whenever a rule is referred that is not in the page you're looking. So this is the introduction and design notes from the author. Very nice pictures, very nice mines. It's brilliant. This is brilliant photographs. This is navigation, how it works. He's preparing for war, the battlefield, the setting up, and here we go in the first part, the first one of the important parts of the rules. Everybody knows that the rules work with grids. It's something that was daunting to me before I tried them, and I think many people are put off by the grid. But I have to say, it's not a problem at all. It's very easy. I used a ballpoint pen or marker, and I just marked the corners of the square, or some people put some type of bushes, and it's very easy to do. Believe me, very easy. And I'm from the guys that was really afraid to or bored or couldn't be bothered to do this, and it doesn't destroy your terrain. So this is the recommended sizes of bases according to your miniature size. So we have 400, 800 and 120 frontage, and here beside you have the grid boxes size and the table size. So there are recommendations. Here are the recommendations for bigger miniatures, and you have again bigger boxes and bigger tables. Again, here it's the author continues with examples of scale, some mock-up games that you can do without necessarily having miniatures. And here is the basic size. Here you have 15mm units in two different widths in the front and 28 two different widths in the back. So there is a quite good explanation regarding how big the units are. Here we were talking about the playing cards and markers. You know, the rule set is played 100% with playing cards, and this can be supplied also by the author. And you have victory medals and tokens who play parts in which side is winning or losing, and it's quite good because you have a visual representation, because tokens are given and taken. Here is again the author who suggests that you can use markers and what is important in the game, for example, for disorder, for ammunition cheats, for shock missiles, for lance-armed cavalry. So he suggests for which aspects of the game you can use markers. So we start here the rules by talking about the generals. There are quite a few types of generals. You have attached, detached, senior, heroic, and brilliant. Every general has his characteristics. A general may, for example, once per turn play a replacement activation card. And of course, here you have the link that you can go and see what this is. Every general you have has characteristics that play important role, and of course, according to his advantages or disadvantages, you fight with him, you use him accordingly. You have, of course, also senior generals, heroic generals, who are more easy to die because they're heroic, but they have advantages in melee. And you have brilliant generals. Everywhere you have examples. I'm not going to read all the examples here, but you have examples of how the uh, generals work. Then you have units. The book is very well structured. Then you have units, and in the strongest, you classify either foot or mounted, and then you have light, small, regular sized, or deep. So, and here you go to the units. You have also heroes. I forgot. Here you go to the units. You have artillery, auxiliaries, billmen, pikemen, spearmen. Um, Here, of course, you have regular size units, light units, small units, and deep units. So this is the explanation and the clarification of the units. Here is an example of units. And here you go and explain to you the characteristics of the units, the deep units, what they represent, the veteran units, and what the author believes could be veteran units. So, and characteristics in every description, you have the rule, the rule that applies to every description. That's very, very good to have it close to the description of the troops. So, veteran troops have a safe factor, one higher than their average equivalent. So, if you're a veteran and you save with a +3, let's say, on the card, you have a safe factor of one higher. So, you can save with a +2. I mean, you have raw units, of course, veteran and raw units, explanation. And here is the unit description. Again, you have artillery, you go to artillery, you go to auxiliaries. Everything is explained, what troops they are, what period they are, and of course, how you use them. For example, billmen. Billmen are armed with one of range of 200 weapon, including the bill, halberd, bulge, and niganita. During the War of the Roses, they often formed the front ranks of a formation with longbowmen in the rear ranks. So billmen can be either regular, deep, or regular depth or deep foot units. So you can have them as regular or as deep units. They have a save of a +7. And when charging, their lethal two-hand cutting weapons inflict a -1 save modifier. So as you can see, in every description, you have all the rules that apply to the units. It's cavalry, there's chariots, crossbowmen, again, explanation, very beautiful photographs of miniatures. It's nice chariots. Heavy chariot, javelin man, knights. Again, here you have the knights, and of course you have explanation of how the knights work. Later knights, again, and the characteristics as I read for you in the billman. You can see here later knights are regular sized units and save on a +6. Their heavy armor gives them a +1 save modifier in melee. When shot at by any except artillery or handgunners, they benefit from +1 save modifier and a further +1 save modifier when dismounted. So all the rules regarding the troops are here. How the rules work? The rules work with we'll discuss it here again. We'll continue talking about here longbow and pikeman, mobs. Now you have other characteristics like shield wall. Again, the rules of shield wall apply here. Shield wall units can be either regular or deep. They have a save of +1. The protection offered by the large shields confers a +1 save modifier against missile fire. So everything is very well explained. Now we're talking about shooting and direction of movement. Again, very clear explanation with this chart here, the representation, the graphical representation, and here talk camp and fortifications. I hope I'm not going very fast, guys. I'm trying to explain to you the lay of land. This is how you lay the terrain. And walls, bridges, roads is very well explained. Beautiful again. Very well. And here's preparing for battle. The victory points and victory medals, how they work, how you win the battle. And here each side should calculate the number of victory points in each command of their army, counting 3 points for each deep unit, 2 points for every general and regular sized unit, 1 point for every for other units. Then hear the explanation. Record on the order of battle the number of victory points to each command. In each command, this may later become important to help determine whether the command becomes demoralized, of course, by losing victory points. Here's choosing the terrain pieces, the victory medals, and you have here examples. Um, you have to read the examples, how you offer in battle. These are all the preliminaries. And here are the zones of the terrain. Here is very brilliant. Actually, this is one of the best stratagems I've ever read. This is the stratagems, and in the card of deck on the deck of cards, what they represent and how they are used, which time they are used. And for example, Jack of Spades is infamy. Infamy. They've all got it. Infamy. King of Diamonds is reserves, and then everything is explained below when it takes effect and what is the when it's possible to play it, or when it takes effect, and of course what are the results of this stratagem. So let's read one. Cry havoc and loose the pick of wars. It's the Queen of Clubs. This represents the use of one of a range of obscure instruments of war, including caltrops, star-dowded incendiary pigs, spiked chains, and concealed pits that were occasionally deployed on the battlefield. So basically, we're talking about stakes and pits and everything. The card may be played when any friendly foot unit is charged by an enemy mounted skid chariots or elephants. The enemy charge is cancelled. That command's activation phase ends, and the charging unit must make a save or else become disordered or lost. So this is a very important card you can have and use it when maybe one unit of your units is threatened by a big mountain charge. You have ambush, flank march. These are reserves. These are all the stratagems, but you have very interesting stratagems and the player's choice with the joker. Then again, you have scouting, and that's another very interesting rule. It gives you advantages and disadvantages, and according to the general, and of course in deployment, and then you're deploying in battle. Here, sharing boxes. If you have normal sized units, they can share boxes. The deep units cannot, obviously. And here is the deployment zone. And now we have the player sequence. Each player, let's read it a bit. Each player on the active side decides which of his commands he wishes to activate first. Units within the command are activated to move, shoot, charge, or rally until either a unit fails to activate or until the player has activated all the units that he wishes to activate and elects to pass. Each player on the active side may then pick another command, if he has one, and repeat the previous step, and so on. And here's the activation process. Every unit has an activation number that you have to draw a card that is the same number or higher to activate. Now, if your activation number is 4, you draw a card that says 7, and then you activate. If you want to activate this unit again, it's not +4 again, it's +7. So there is a lot of thinking behind the rules, because you have to go higher than your previous activation, not the initial activation number required. This is for activation. You have easy activations and you have difficult activation, either move or charge, move, shoot, and move. The easiest activation, you need to have the same activation number. I think if it's difficult, you need to be 1 over your activation number. Let's have a look. The player states that he wishes to activate a legionary unit to move 1 box straight forward. Any card other than an ace will succeed. The player plays a 3 card, which is placed behind the unit and moves the unit forwards 1 box. So yeah, easy activation. So initial activations for unit, except when a non-light unit is making one of the difficult activation, succeeds on a +2 PIP card. And difficult activations, I think, need a +3. But as I said again, if you want to activate again your unit to do something else, you have to have a card higher than the card you activated with, not the activation number required. So many explanations here of how this thing works. And here you have difficult activations that were described above. Activation involving multiple units in the same box. 2 Roman cohorts that have each activated previously are sharing a box. one already has a 3 PAP card on it and the other has a 6. A 7 card would be sufficient to activate both together, but any lower value will fail. What we're talking about. So the Romans activated the one Roman cohort activated with a 3. So if you wanted to activate it again, only this cohort, he would need a 4. The other one activated with a 6, so he would need a 7. But if he wants to activate both, he will take the most difficult activation, and that is the activation of 6. So out of command, of course, you have and moving. This is how you move. Shows example of how you move within the grid if you're a foot unit. And you can move diagonally. A zone of control, again, this is a zone of control. That is a typical rule. You can turn face or retire directly to your rear, and you cannot do any maneuvering in front of the zone of control. Now here is how zone of control works and examples. So here's you have 2 units in one box. Now, if you had only 1 unit, the zone of control here doesn't allow this unit to do any movement except charge or go back. But the second whole cohort, because it's covered by the first cohort, can move because it's not obliged by the zone of control of the opponent. This move is not allowed logically because then it would be like chess or like other games. And here it shows restriction of movement and how movement works. Charging and melee explanations. Here we have permitted and prohibited charges, so this charge is not permitted and this charge is not permitted. The charge of the second cohort is not permitted, and the rest of the charges are permitted because this cohort has to be activated and turned and then charged. And as we know, this move here, the diagonal, is not allowed. Here explains evading. I'm giving you a general idea of the rules. I hope you understand. Here is about shooting. This is a very interesting rule set because I believe it makes the game more interesting and more realistic. When you have cheats, you cannot just shoot all during the whole battle. Always something I was missing from rule sets. For example, bowmen have 6 cheats each, and I think if you have a camp, you can have some extra cheats. Here you have the range, javelins, bows, slings, handguns, longbows, crossbows, and catapults and cannons. So very easy to understand. The grid gives makes it quite interesting. So this is the arc and the range. So you can see, excuse me, you can see if you have javelins, you have an arc of 2 boxes outside your own box, and then bows and longbows, you have 2. Here we're talking about the line of sight. I like all these graphical representations. It shows a lot of, you can understand easier what we're talking about. Target priorities, all the rules are rallying. Of course, all the rules have examples, so you will follow. The activation number is always put in the back of the unit. When you're playing to fight or you're playing for something else, you play in the edge table so you don't mix the cards. Because when you fight or when you attack, this after the hand-to-hand combat, this will be discarded and you will shuffle the cards. But the activation card, it needs to be there so you know what you need to activate it again if you require. Now to hit cards. In melee, a charging unit usually plays 1 to hit card, although on some occasions more than 1 cards may be played. There's bonus hit card. You see, all the links are here. To hit cards are always played on the baseline to avoid them becoming mixed with activation cards played behind the units, as we said before. In melee, a 6p or greater to hit card inflicts a hit, except if the following troops that you need an 8. So yes, disordered or double disordered units, light troops, artillery, bowmen, longbowmen, crossbowmen. So longbowmen and crossbowmen need an 8 and above to hit. Other units need a 6 and above, men at arms, for example. But of course, this is you get minuses and plus regarding the weapons and situations, as I showed you before, and if you have commanders. A hit card that is lower than the value that is required is a miss. To hit card are never modified. An enemy is not modified, but you get bonuses for weapons, just for me to be clear in that one. Example. Let's read an example. A unit of Spartan hoplites successfully charges a unit of Athenians. The Spartans play a 9 PIP hit card on their baseline, hitting the Athenians, who subsequently fail to save and become disordered. The Athenians strike back, playing a 7 card on their own baseline. A 7 PIP would normally hit, but the Athenians are now disordered and therefore require an 8 hit card and therefore miss. Let's see another example. A unit of ancient British warriors successfully charges against the flank of a Roman cohort led by a tribune general. Requiring the usual 6+ to hit in melee, the Britons play 2 to hit cards, a 5 PIP and a 7. The 7 PIP is a hit, against which the Romans will need to make a save, and the 5 PIP is a miss. The British warriors have 2 hit cards because probably it was a commander, or there's a rule that is described in their army list. Replaying hit cards if you have a heroic general, how you're saving, exemption. So many units have the base saving factor of either 6 and 7. Some troops will also be veteran or raw, which increase or decrease their saving factor by 1 respectively. For the sake of convenience, this is noted before the game, so that a unit of veteran legionaries, for example, starts the game with a save of +5 rather than +6. So here you have the modifiers, all the modifiers very well explained in melee, in shooting, in rallying. A general is present in the box, so you get a +1. Very clear. Here you have other examples of disorders, of losses, brilliant Romans. Demoralization. This is important. Although there is errata that is there is some errata that you can find in a very interesting in the forum that the rules are updated. Here is I think this is updated, but this is how an army becomes demoralized, and then you have negative modifiers. This is a rampage path of an elephant. Laurels of victor. These are the victory conditions. Advice and examples of play. This is some advice from the designer, and you have examples of play. And here you have an extended play. Here it's a very nice. You have an extended play. It tells you all this is very good because I don't know if I should read it to you or you get bored. I mean, I'm not going to read it because this can take time. But if you're interested for me reading this for you, I can make another video. So this is an extended play, shows you how the rules work and what is the strategy and how they hit and how they defend and everything. Additional material, advanced rule, you have boats. I think my friend Kurt is interested in this. Extra missile weapons, dismounting, fanatics, exceptional deep units or maybe even deeper. Lance-mounted infantry. I cannot spell this. Rhomboid, I don't know what this is. Shock missile, orbes, pavises. And here you have examples. Two-handed cutting weapons. This is how the weapons give what modifiers they give to the opponent. Swimmers. I don't know what this is. And here's the points of value, generally speaking, army lists. Here is you can make your own army list because you have the points and the saving numbers. We'll go to this just before I close this video. Some other samples, again, examples of army lists. There are army lists in the core book. As you saw here, you saw the Romans, and with detail about history. So it's a very, very, very good rule book. Here's a Roman army of the north that the designer has an example of Antinarius. So this is basically it. I think it's a very big battle. There's a lot of support, additional material, mega gaming, further reading, blah, 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 everything. You have a lot of additional material and a lot of support. You see here, War Games blog that use the rules. And of course, the forum is very, here's the index where you can go in every page and just, if you have, you can push it and you can go and check it. So before we go, I want to show you also the army list. So here is army lists that are provided from the forum, I think. that you can use. They have so many Seljuk Turks, Moldovar Berbers, Italo Norman, Cuman, Pre-Mongols. There's so many army lists that you can use. Here is errata, so things that have been amended, but I'm sure more. This is an old one. I'm sure more have been released. And here's another list again to the strongest army of lists of early medieval. So you have Middle Frankish, English kingdoms, Britons. Very great support for this rule set, and to the strongest army list, late medieval again. You can have 100 Years' War. Here, look at these numbers. So let's have a look here. So you have the number of let's say later knights. You can have what is this? 100 Years' War French. Later knights you can have 2 to 5, and the save is +6. So all this is the saving factors of your unit. So, and this will be modified according if you have a shield or according to the rules or according to the weapon of the opponent, but the base factor is here. So, but if you have veterans, for nobles, for example, you upgrade them to veteran knights, they will go to +5. And here, of course, is the cost. Here are the allies you may need and some notes. So there is a lot of support, too many army lists for all periods regarding this rule set. Anyway, guys, this is the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you understood how the rule works. So, well, the basics. I cannot explain the rule set exactly, but I think you get the basics and the philosophy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Stay safe and bye-bye.